The crystalline spires of New Alexandria gleamed in the light of 3 setting suns, their surfaces reflecting the purple and gold hues of the alien sky. Marcus Thorne stood at the window of his diplomatic office, watching ships from a dozen species glide between the towers. After 5 years as Earth's ambassador to the Arcadian Empire, he still found the view breathtaking. Admiring the sunset again? Selena's voice carried its familiar warmth as she entered the office. Marcus turned to face his wife, taking in her elegant appearance in traditional Arcadian diplomatic robes, her dark hair arranged in elaborate braids that honored local custom while maintaining human aesthetics. "Someone has to appreciate the view while you're busy saving the galaxy," Marcus replied with a smile that reached his gray eyes. Selena had become the heart of their diplomatic mission, her natural ability to connect with both humans and aliens making her indispensable to maintaining peace between Earth and the technologically superior Arcadian Empire. "The trade negotiations are proceeding well," Selena said, moving to stand beside him. "Though High Counselor Vexer seems unusually resistant to the new medical technology exchange program." She frowned slightly, a gesture Marcus had learned meant she was piecing together a puzzle. Marcus nodded, keeping his expression neutral despite the surge of concern her words triggered. The medical technology exchange was crucial. Humanity needed Arcadian regenerative techniques, while the Arcadians sought human innovations in neural mapping. If the program failed, years of careful diplomacy could unravel. "The resistance doesn't make sense," Selena continued. "The benefits to both sides are clear. Unless..." She paused, her brown eyes narrowing. "Unless someone is profiting from keeping our medical systems separate." Marcus felt a familiar prickle at the base of his skull, the neural augments he'd kept hidden for 15 years sensing his heightened alertness. Few knew that Earth's diplomatic corps included individuals enhanced with classified technology, their abilities carefully concealed to prevent panic among alien species who feared human potential. "Be careful with that line of thinking," he warned softly. "The High Council doesn't appreciate accusations of corruption, even implied ones." Selena touched his arm gently. "I know. But if someone is blocking medical advances that could save lives on both sides, we have a duty to investigate." Her determination was one of the things he loved most about her, even as it terrified him. The next weeks saw Selena diving deeper into research, analyzing trade patterns and financial records with remarkable insight. Marcus watched with growing unease as she uncovered irregularities in medical supply chains and suspicious deaths of reform-minded council members. "The numbers don't lie," she told him one evening in their private quarters, displaying a holographic web of transactions. "Someone's been artificially inflating prices of critical medications, then funneling the profits through shell companies. But I can't quite trace it to the source." Marcus studied the data, his augmented mind processing patterns faster than any natural human could. He spotted concerning connections, shell companies linked to radical political factions, transfer dates coinciding with mysterious accidents. His instincts screamed danger. "Perhaps we should take this to Earth intelligence first," he suggested carefully. "Let them investigate through official channels." Selena shook her head. "That would take months. People are dying now because they can't afford treatments. Besides," she added with a gentle smile, "we're diplomats. We solve problems through dialogue and truth, not cloak and dagger games." If only she knew the full truth about him, about the capacity for violence that hummed beneath his carefully maintained diplomatic exterior. But he'd kept that secret to protect her, to protect their mission of peace. Now, watching her piece together a conspiracy that reached into the highest levels of Arcadian society, he prayed he wouldn't regret that decision. The breaking point came sooner than he feared. Marcus was in a meeting with minor trade officials when his augments detected the energy surge, a weapon powering up somewhere in the diplomatic complex. He was moving before conscious thought, his enhanced speed carrying him toward Selena's office even as alarms began to sound. He was too late. The door was sealed, energy readings indicating a localized particle field inside. His augments could have torn through the barrier, but not before, not in time to. The surge peaked. Through the door, he heard Selina's voice, clear and unafraid, "I know what you've done. Others will find the truth." Then came the flash, and Marcus Thorne's world ended in silence. The Arcadian High Council chambers fell silent as Marcus entered, his footsteps echoing against ancient stone. 3 days had passed since Selina's death, officially ruled an unfortunate equipment malfunction by Arcadian authorities. The council members watched him with a mix of sympathy and wariness, none suspecting that beneath his composed exterior, his augments were scanning their biological signatures, recording every micro-expression and stress indicator. High Counselor Vexer arose from his crystalline throne, his iridescent scales catching the light. "Ambassador Thorne, we extend our deepest condolences. Administrator Selina was beloved by many here." Marcus inclined his head, noting how Vexer's secondary heart rate elevated slightly at mentioning Selina's name. "Thank you, High Counselor. My wife believed strongly in the alliance between our peoples. She would want our work to continue." "Of course," Vexer replied smoothly. "Though perhaps you should take time to grieve. Your deputy could handle affairs temporarily." "I prefer to stay busy," Marcus said, his augments detecting increased tension in the room. Several council members shifted uncomfortably, particularly Counselor Nyrix, whose neural patterns showed clear signs of deception. Selina was investigating the medical technology exchange program. "I intend to continue her work." A subtle wave of unease rippled through the chamber. Vexer's scales flickered, a sign of agitation that most humans wouldn't notice. A noble gesture, but perhaps premature. "The investigation into the accident is ongoing." "Indeed." Marcus allowed a hint of steel to enter his voice. "I've reviewed the preliminary findings. Curious how the particle field generator malfunctioned in exactly the way needed to eliminate all data in Selina's office while also proving lethal." "Are you suggesting something, Ambassador?" Counselor Nyrix demanded, her crystalline appendages clicking agitatedly. Marcus smiled diplomatically even as his augments recorded her guilty reaction. "Simply that thorough investigation benefits everyone. Transparency maintains trust between allies." The meeting continued, a delicate dance of politics and veiled threats. Marcus played his role perfectly, the grieving but professional diplomat. None suspected that his enhanced senses were gathering evidence with every word, every gesture, every fluctuation in body temperature or hormone levels. Back in his office, Marcus began correlating the data. His augments processed thousands of variables, building a web of connections. Selina had been right about the medical supply corruption, but she'd only seen the surface. The conspiracy went deeper, reaching into the core of Arcadian society. A soft chime announced a visitor, Liaison Officer Therax, one of the younger Arcadians who had worked closely with Selina. "Ambassador? I found something you should see." Marcus's scans showed genuine distress in the young alien's biosignatures. "Come in, Therax." The liaison produced a data crystal. "Administrator Selina gave me this the day she said to keep it safe, to pass it to you if anything happened." His lower appendages trembled. "I should have come forward sooner, but I was afraid." The crystal contained encrypted files, financial records, communication logs, and most damning, evidence that several council members were connected to a radical faction called the Purity Coalition. They believed that sharing advanced medical technology would make humans too powerful, too quickly. Better to keep Earth dependent on Arcadian medicines, controlled through carefully managed trade. "The coalition has infiltrated multiple levels of government," Therax explained. Administrator Selina discovered they were deliberately sabotaging the medical exchange, ensuring human adaptation of Arcadian techniques would fail. "They're willing to let people die to maintain control." Marcus absorbed the information, his augments highlighting key details for later investigation. "Why are you showing me this, Therax. It puts you at risk. The young Arcadian straightened. Because Administrator Selena believed in real cooperation between our species. She showed me that humans could be trusted as equals. He paused. And because I saw Counselor Nyrix's personal guard near her office that day, though they weren't listed in any security logs. I see. Marcus's tone remained gentle, even as his augments began calculating combat scenarios and escape routes. Thank you for your courage, Therax. I suggest you take an immediate leave of absence. Visit family off-world, perhaps. After Therax left, Marcus stood at his window, watching the alien sunset. His diplomatic cover had served its purpose, allowing him to gather intelligence and build connections. But now, with Selena's murderers revealed and the conspiracy exposed, it was time for a different approach. He accessed a secure channel, connecting to a hidden facility on Earth. Authorization code Theta-97. Requesting activation of Protocol Umbra. The response was immediate. Confirmed, Operative Thorn. Assets are yours to command. Rules of engagement? Marcus watched an Arcadian security patrol pass below, their weapons useless against his augmented capabilities. Minimal casualties. But make no mistake, this ends with the Purity Coalition exposed and destroyed. They killed my wife. Now they learn why that was their last mistake. The pieces were in motion. Soon, the conspirators would realize that they hadn't killed a simple diplomat's wife. They had created their worst nightmare, a highly trained operative with nothing left to lose, and the full resources of Earth's covert operations at his disposal. Marcus touched the ring on his finger, the last gift Selena had given him. I'll finish what you started, my love. And may whatever gods they believe in help anyone who stands in my way. The first strike came at midnight. Throughout New Alexandria's diplomatic district, power grids failed simultaneously. Security systems crashed. Communication networks went dark. In the ensuing chaos, no one noticed the shadow moving through restricted areas, its movements too quick for standard surveillance to track. Marcus's augments gave him perfect vision in the darkness as he accessed the High Council's secure archives. His neural processors interfaced directly with Arcadian systems, bypassing encryptions that would take conventional AI months to crack. Within minutes, he had what he needed, proof of the Purity Coalition's activities going back decades. The evidence was damning. The Coalition hadn't just killed Selena. They'd orchestrated countless accidents, targeting anyone who threatened their control over medical technology. Their ultimate goal was more sinister than mere profit. They planned to introduce subtle flaws into shared medical techniques, ensuring any humans treated with Arcadian methods would develop fatal complications within years. Security breach in Sector 7. The alert echoed through the building. Marcus didn't rush. His augments had already calculated patrol patterns and response times. He had exactly 43 seconds before the first guards arrived. As he prepared to leave, his enhanced hearing caught familiar voices approaching, Counselor Nyrix and High Counselor Vexer, arriving for an emergency meeting. The human must suspect something, Nyrix was saying. We should have eliminated him with his wife. Patience, Vexer replied. Once the modified protocols are implemented, their entire species will be dependent on our treatments. Thorn is irrelevant. Marcus's augments registered dangerous spikes in his adrenaline and neural activity. The diplomatic mask he'd worn for years cracked. In its place emerged something cold and lethal, honed by years of covert operations before his diplomatic cover. He stepped into their path, enjoying their startled reactions. Interesting meeting time, counselors. Ambassador Thorn. Vexer recovered quickly. This is a restricted area. Indeed. Marcus held up a data crystal. Like the restricted files detailing your planned genocide of my species? Selena discovered your real plans. That's why she had to die. Nyrix's crystalline appendages whirred as she reached for a concealed weapon. Marcus moved faster than any unaugmented human could, disarming her with casual ease. His other hand gripped Vexor's throat, augmented strength holding the alien effortlessly aloft. "Impossible," Vexor choked out. "Humans don't have these capabilities." "You know so little about us," Marcus replied softly. "About me? Did you really think Earth would send an unmodified human as its primary diplomat to a technologically superior species? I'm what your coalition fears, proof that humans can match and exceed Arcadian capabilities." Security forces burst in, weapons trained on Marcus. He smiled, knowing his augments could incapacitate them all before they could fire. But that wasn't the plan. Not yet. "Release the High Counselor," their commander ordered. "Of course." Marcus let Vexor drop. "I'm a diplomat, after all." His augments transmitted the stolen data to multiple secure locations. "But you should all read tomorrow's news feeds. The public will be very interested in the coalition's activities." He walked out calmly, guards unwilling to fire on an ambassador. Behind him, Vexor was already shouting orders to contain the situation. But it was too late. By morning, the story broke across every major news network in Arcadian space. Evidence of the coalition's crimes was impossible to suppress. Public outrage was immediate and overwhelming. The carefully maintained facade of the High Council began to crack. In his office, Marcus watched the chaos unfold. Riots erupted in major cities. Coalition members were arrested. The medical technology exchange program was suspended pending investigations. A secure message arrived from Earth Command, situation approaching critical levels. Recommend immediate extraction. Marcus deleted it without responding. Extraction had never been part of his plan. The coalition had taken Selena from him, had planned to destroy his entire species. Now he would take everything from them. His augments hummed with deadly purpose as he prepared for the next phase. The coalition's leadership would be desperate now, gathering in their secret bunkers, planning countermoves. Thanks to Selena's research and his own infiltration, he knew exactly where to find them. "You wanted to see humanity's potential," he whispered to the empty room. "I'll show you what one augmented human can do when you take everything he loves." The sun set on New Alexandria, its crystalline spires blood-red in the dying light. In the darkness that followed, the real war would begin. Not with armies or fleets, but with one man, enhanced beyond normal human limits, bringing a reckoning to those who had underestimated humanity's capacity for both love and vengeance. Deep beneath New Alexandria's surface, in a bunker shielded from standard scanning technology, the remaining coalition leadership gathered in panic. Marcus watched through the facility's own security feeds, his augments having bypassed their unbreakable encryption hours ago. "Our operations across 3 sectors are compromised," Nyrix reported, her crystalline form reflecting the emergency lights. "Someone is systematically destroying everything we built. Research facilities, supply chains, safe houses, all exposed or destroyed." Marcus allowed himself a grim smile. The coalition's empire was burning, and they still didn't understand who had lit the match. His augments had given him access to their entire network. Every secret facility, every hidden account, every compromised official, all laid bare to his enhanced capabilities. The bunker's main screen flickered to life, displaying casualty reports from their latest loss. A weapons facility, supposedly hidden on a remote moon, had been completely destroyed. No survivors. No evidence remaining. "This has to be Earth intelligence," one member argued. "No single operative could do this." Marcus initiated the next phase. Throughout the bunker, lights began to fail. Communications died. Security systems reported phantom intruders in every sector. Panic spread among the coalition leadership as they realized their sanctuary was compromised. I warned you about underestimating humans, Marcus's voice echoed through the chamber. About the consequences of killing my wife. Chaos erupted. Guards fired at shadows while coalition leaders scrambled for escape routes that no longer existed. Marcus moved through them like a ghost, his augmented reflexes making their defenses meaningless. He didn't kill, death would be too merciful. Instead, he systematically incapacitated and restrained each leader, ensuring they would live to face justice. Nyrix was the last to fall, cornered in a secondary command center. "What are you?" she demanded, watching him approach with inhuman grace. "I am humanity's potential, the future you feared." Marcus disabled her defensive systems with a thought. "But more importantly, I'm a husband who loved his wife. She believed in peace between our species. In her memory, I'm giving you a chance she never received." Within hours, coalition leadership was in custody. Evidence of their crimes was broadcast across the galaxy. The carefully constructed narrative of human technological inferiority crumbled as Marcus's capabilities became public knowledge. Earth's response was diplomatic but firm. The existence of augmented individuals could no longer be denied, but neither could humanity's commitment to peaceful coexistence. The medical technology exchange would proceed as Selena had envisioned, benefiting both species. In his private quarters, Marcus accessed the final piece of data Selena had discovered before her death. It wasn't just evidence of corruption, it was hope. Hidden in the Coalition's research was proof that human and Arcadian medical techniques, properly combined, could advance both species beyond anything they had achieved separately. "You were right, my love," he whispered, touching her ring. There was a better way forward. Together. But his mission wasn't quite complete. One figure remained elusive, High Counselor Vexer. The architect of both the Coalition and Selena's murder had escaped during the chaos. Marcus's augments were already tracking possible escape routes, analyzing patterns, hunting for any trace of the fugitive counselor. Vexer would be desperate now, dangerous. He still had loyalists in key positions, and access to weapons that could threaten both human and Arcadian worlds. The coming confrontation would determine not just personal vengeance, but the future of interspecies relations. Marcus stood at his office window, watching ships moving through New Alexandria's evening sky. His augments processed countless data streams, preparing for the final hunt. Somewhere out there, Vexer was planning his counterattack. But he would learn what the Coalition had failed to understand: humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their augments. It was their capacity to transform loss into purpose, grief into determination, and love into an unstoppable force for change. The quantum tracker in Marcus's augments pulsed as he approached the abandoned research station orbiting Arcadia's third moon. His intelligence network had finally located Vexer, hiding in this defunct facility that once developed experimental medical technologies. His ship's stealth systems, enhanced by his neural interface, slipped past the station's defensive grid. As he docked, his augments detected multiple life signs and weapon signatures. Vexer wasn't alone. "I knew you would come, Ambassador," Vexer's voice echoed through the station's comm system. "Your human predictability made you easy to manipulate. Even your wife's death served our purpose." Marcus moved through the station's corridors, disabling security measures with practiced efficiency. "You still don't understand, Vexer. You didn't manipulate me. You unleashed me." "Perhaps." A blast door sealed behind Marcus. "But you've played your part perfectly. The Coalition's public destruction was necessary, now we can rebuild stronger, with supporters who understand the true threat humanity poses." Marcus's augments detected an energy surge. The station's reactor was overloading. On nearby screens, data streamed showing synchronized attacks beginning across multiple worlds, sleeper cells activating, targeting both human and Arcadian populations. "Your crusade exposed our cautious old guard," Vexer continued. Now my true followers can act openly. The station's destruction will mark the beginning. Both our species will blame each other for the coming violence. The resulting war will prove we were right about humanity's danger. Marcus accessed the station's systems, his enhanced mind racing through possibilities. The reactor couldn't be stopped remotely, Vexor had hardwired the overload. But there was another option. You're making the same mistake again, Marcus said, moving deeper into the station. Underestimating humanity's capacity for change. He reached the central chamber. Vexor waited with his elite guards, their weapons trained on the entrance.